A green card holder typically has the opportunity to naturalize after 5 years, unless there's a blemish on your record that could potentially block your path towards citizenship. Now, before anyone takes that oath of allegiance, JC and his guests talk about the subject of crimmigration. Let's watch this.
Immigration is a long and tedious process, but once you get your green card, it becomes all worth it. But guys, remember, having a green card allows you to be a legal resident, but not automatically a citizen. And sometimes there are factors that might hinder one from moving forward in getting their citizenship, and that brings us to a term called crimmigration. To help us understand what that is and how it affects non-citizens is the managing attorney of Reeves, Miller, Zhang, and Diza, Attorney Nancy Miller. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Before we start, let's talk about the different tiers of convictions and how it relates to someone with a green card or out of status might get affected if they apply for citizenship. So there is your lowest level, what is it, infraction?
That's an infraction.
What would those be?
Under immigration law, first of all, an infraction is not considered a crime or a conviction. Okay. And we're talking there about basically an illegal left turn, littering, things along those lines.
All right, so I don't have to worry about that from an immigration point of view is what you're saying? From
an immigration point.
Okay, so the next tier after an infraction is a misdemeanor.
Yes.
What would classify as a misdemeanor?
Petty theft.
Other things
drug possession.
Yeah, okay, drug possession, petty theft.
For personal use,
okay.
Things along those lines.
And then after that is a felony, and that's the more serious stuff.
I don't want to say that a misdemeanor is not serious,
okay.
But yes, felonies are generally murder, they can be grand theft, they can be larger crimes,
gotcha.
Yes.
So if I am someone who is a green card holder or someone who is out of status in the United States and I commit a misdemeanor or a felony, that could put my application for U.S. citizenship in jeopardy.
It could not only put your application for citizenship in jeopardy, it could result in your being not admitted back into the United States if you're a green card holder and you've gone out for a vacation. It can also result in your being placed in removal proceedings and deported from the United States.
Okay. So if we have one of our viewers now, I mean, majority of our viewers are all Filipinos. A lot of them have family and friends in the States. If they know someone or they are someone who is in that situation, whether green card or out of status, and I find myself in that spot where I have a misdemeanor or a felony against me, there are ways that all hope is not lost, basically, is what we're saying here.
All hope is not lost. A lot of it depends on what the conviction is and what the sentence is, and if they are, in fact, eligible for a waiver, which is possible depending on the conviction and the sentence, whether or not they are, in fact, eligible for that waiver. Do they have the qualifying relatives? Do they meet the other requirements for the waiver?
Okay, have there been, well, from what I understand, there have been some changes in the law recently that might affect someone in this situation. Could you please enlighten us on some of those things?
Yes, there have been some very positive changes in the state of California that affect immigrants. The first one was something called Proposition 47, which allowed people who have been convicted of various felonies to apply to have those felonies reduced to a misdemeanor. And I do want to add that that ability to file for that relief will end in November of 2017, so people need to be aware of that date. But once someone had their felony reduced to a misdemeanor, they could still be in trouble because the misdemeanor could result as an aggravated felony, even though it's a misdemeanor, if they were subject to a sentence of 365 days, which misdemeanors were. Then we got a second law in California which allowed or it reduced the maximum sentence for a misdemeanor to 364 days, which saved people from that level of what's called an aggravated felony, but may still mean that they have a problem that needs to be addressed. Then the question was how were people affected who had their convictions before that law went into effect. And in September of 2016, the law was passed that said that that reduction is retroactive.
Okay, and with this is all the more reason why, someone needs to call a law firm like yours to educate them on the updated laws and how it might relate to their situation. So if we have a viewer, a Canadian who knows somebody who's in some type of a bind, how do they best reach you?
They should call us, they can email us, they go on our website, and they should do this as quickly as possible because, as I said, there is a deadline for one of these basic changes that can affect a lot of people.
Okay, the numbers are on your screen again. This is the law firms of Reeves, Miller, Zhang, and Diza. Attorney Miller, thank you so much for joining us on Adobo Nation.
Thank you.
All right.